Once upon a time, there was a joker named Felix, who had the most contagious laugh in the kingdom. His jesters had jingled with bells and his face was painted with an eternal grin. Felix had an incredible talent for telling jokes that left everyone in stitches, but his true aspiration was to write a book, just one, but a memorable one. He wasn't much of a writer, though, so he figured, why not make it as ridiculous as possible? Felix began with the first chapter, How to Tickle a Dragon, which he had completely made up. Of course, no one in the entire kingdom had ever seen a dragon, but Felix's description of one getting tickled had everyone roaring with laughter. You just need a really big feather, he wrote, and a lot of bravery, because dragons, you see, are extremely ticklish. His writing was chaotic, with sentences that wandered off the page, sometimes spiraling into doodles of stick figure dragons laughing uncontrollably. The next chapter was titled, Why Kings Should Always Wear Polka Dots, inspired by the time Felix had tricked the king into wearing a polka-dotted robe for a royal portrait. The king had no idea that the portrait would become the talk of the town, with everyone believing it was the latest fashion trend. Polka dots are majestic, Felix declared, because they make kings look like they're having a good time, even when they're just sitting around doing kingly things. The chapter ended with a sketch of the king, still grinning from ear to ear, surrounded by dot-covered courtiers. As Felix continued, his ideas became even more outlandish. There was a chapter about how to train a fish to juggle underwater, which naturally included a recipe for underwater popcorn. Fish have very refined tastes, Felix insisted, and nothing pleases a juggler fish more than a fresh batch of underwater popcorn. Lightly salted, of course. His writing style was an absurd mix of serious instructions and completely nonsensical advice, like always remember to teach the fish to breathe first. One of the funniest chapters was The Day I Tricked the Sun, where Felix claimed to have convinced the sun to set in the morning instead of the evening, just to see what would happen. The sun was hesitant at first, Felix wrote, but after a little persuasion, it agreed, and the kingdom experienced the strangest day ever. Everyone woke up to sunset and went to bed at dawn. His account was filled with amusing details of confused roosters, sleepy peasants, and an exhausted moon that had to work overtime. Then there was the chapter on how to make a night laugh, where Felix claimed to have discovered the only joke that could make even the most stoic knight break into laughter. The joke was so ridiculous that it didn't make any sense at all. Why did the knight bring a ladder to the battlefield? Because he heard the stakes were high. Felix found this so hilarious that he wrote it down 5 times, each time with more exclamation marks than the last. Finally, Felix wrapped up his book with a chapter titled, Why Jokers Should Never Write Books, where he humorously confessed that he had no idea what he was doing the entire time. Books are serious business, he wrote, and I'm just a joker with too many jokes and not enough sense. He ended the book with a simple note. If you made it this far, congratulations to put written. Felix's book, despite its utter nonsense, became an instant classic in the kingdom. Everyone, from the king to the lowliest peasant, couldn't stop laughing, and Felix's dream of writing a memorable book came true, proving that sometimes it's the silliest ideas that leave the biggest impact. And so, Felix continued to make the kingdom laugh, not just with his jokes, but with his one and only, absolutely absurd, yet utterly unforgettable volume.